Okay, now we're on to what's basically going to be the final video of this retrospective. And that being the most recent Ninja Turtle movie, Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Now this was interesting for me because I had not seen a Ninja Turtle movie in the theater in like 9 years. Like, I saw the Michael Bay movie, I skipped on the second one, Batman vs. Ninja Turtles was straight to video, and Rise of the TMNT the movie was a Netflix film, so it had been a few years since I saw a movie on the big screen. So, how exactly did I enjoy the movie? Let's check out the film first. The movie starts off with TCRI trying to capture someone. Who, you might ask? Well, they're after Baxter Stockman, who at this point in the movie has already created a mutant. When they get there, things don't go too well and they end up accidentally killing him in an explosion. And after the explosion happens, one canister of mutant accidentally leaks into the sewer. After that, we get a little time jump seeing the turtles finally, and I'm not gonna lie, I actually really like the designs of the turtles in this movie. And yes, I am aware a lot of people compare the designs to the Spider-Verse movies, but frankly, they're not trying to make them look like comic books at this time. Here, they're trying to make them look more like sketches in a high school kid's notebook, which, I'm not gonna lie, really works for them. Anyways, in the Turtles introduction, we see them using their ninja skills to get groceries. Okay, I know it's kind of goofy, but frankly, in all the movies, we see them have tons of food in the lair, but we never really see how they get the food. So, actually showing how they do it is surprisingly really fun to watch. After they get groceries, all the turtles decide to head home. Well, Leonardo wants to head home, the others want to go see a movie. And luckily for them, there's a live screening of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. After the movie, the turtles head home, well, sort of wishing they could have normal lives with the humans. And when they get home, Splinter gets freaked out or worried because they're out too long. Which leads to Splinter having a little rant about how the humans are going to experiment or milk them if they were ever discovered.
We don't even have nipples!
You know what?
And as punishment, he tells them the long version of their backstory to remind them why they're down there. We learn that Splinter was the regular street rat that eventually found the four turtles swimming in mutagen, which caused him and the four turtles to mutate. And since Splinter was an older rat, he mutated into an older rat. And since the turtles were babies, they were mutated into baby turtles. I'm serious, this is the actual explanation in the movie. It's kind of funny. Is then when we get a little montage of all of them living together for a few years, until one day they decide to go up into the surface thinking they'll be accepted. It goes about as well as you'd expect. So out of fear of his family getting killed and experimented on, Splinter decides to teach his family how to defend themselves. And how, you may ask? Through instructional videos! I'm actually serious, they literally go online and watch how-to videos on how to use ninjutsu, and they also watch kung fu movies, and frankly, I like this because, in the Michael Bay movie, they had a book they obviously couldn't read. Here, with YouTube, there actually is a speak option, so this makes way more sense. And it's kind of funny seeing how some of the movies are Jackie Chan movies, and Splinter is voiced by Jackie Chan in this movie. Anyways, as punishment for staying out too long, Splinter grounds them for a month, and they all go to their room. And in their rooms, they have a talk with each other about whether or not it would be good to be normal, and they all kind of want to do it. It's just, they're mutant turtles, and they don't know anyone else of their kind. So in a way, they all feel trapped. We then cut to a truck with high-tech materials getting robbed, and the getaway truck getting flown away by an unknown creature. We then cut to a month later where the turtles are not grounded anymore. It's mostly just them chilling, filming videos of them cutting vegetables in slow motion. They do eventually start throwing shurikens, which accidentally hit someone on the street. And it is around here where we meet April O'Neil for the first time, and I know a lot of people didn't like the design of April in this film, but let me explain why I didn't care too much. Okay, here's why I never minded April in this movie. It was because, compared to all of her different versions, she was not consistent. Like in the first cartoon, she was a news reporter. In the 2003 show, they tried to make her more like her comic self by making her a scientist that worked for Baxter Stockman. In the 2012 show, she was a teenager who we would then learn to be a half-mutant with psychic powers. And in the most recent cartoon, Rise of the TMNT, April was a girl that had a magical baseball bat as well as a teleporting chihuahua pet thing. Anyways, the turtles go to help get April's scooter back, which was stolen, and I'm not gonna lie, these Chop Chop guys' reactions to the turtles is honestly really funny.
They look more like little Shreks to me.
Ha! Anyways, after that fun little jab at the Michael Bay design, the turtles get ready for battle. Yeah, it starts really bad with Raphael accidentally dropping one of his sides into Donatello's leg. And the rest of the fight is them stumbling around trying not to get killed while also trying to fight these guys off. They do eventually succeed and even give the girl her bike back, but she sees what they are and, well, like everyone else, she freaks out. But thankfully, they are able to talk it out over pizza, and it's around here where the turtles learn that there is a creature called Superfly running around New York attacking from the shadows, and the turtles get an idea. If they take out Superfly, maybe New York will see them as heroes, and with that, they can finally live normal lives. Which get all the turtles excited. But before they go through with it, the turtles decide not to tell Splinter about it because he might object to it. The turtles do eventually meet up with April again at her high school, that being Eastman High. Okay, I want to save this for this video, but in the last movie, April went to Laird University, and in this movie, she goes to Eastman High. If you can't tell what the reference is, they pretty much named two different schools in the last two movies after the original creators of the Ninja Turtles, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Isn't that a cool background detail? Anyways, sorry for distracting again. Let's go back to the movie. At the school, the turtles are having a good time looking at everything, and there's even a funny bit where Mikey tried to sign up for improv class. And while they're trying to sign up, they need last names, and the turtles don't exactly know what their last names are. Okay, for those of you who want to know what the turtles' last names are, I'll fill you in. Okay, so you know how in most media, Splinter is either a pet rat of or is a guy named Hamato Yoshi? Well, here's the thing. In Japanese culture, the last name comes first. So Splinter's more or less last name is Hamato. And seeing how all the turtles are family, including Splinter, even the turtle's last name is Hamato. And the fun little detail about this movie, they didn't give Splinter a human owner or make him human. So, yeah, this joke works because they don't have last names, unlike most media. Kind of fun how they're able to do something with this, unlike the Michael Bay films. Anyways, what was happening in the film again? It is also around here when we see why April wants the turtles' help. Apparently, during the school announcement, she ended up vomiting really bad on camera, and now everyone makes fun of her. So, as a way to become popular, she tries to write a story about the turtles defeating Superfly. And thankfully, she already has a bunch of leads on people who at least know Superfly. We then get a really fun montage of the turtles beating up all the gangsters in the city, and not gonna lie, the way this is edited and animated, it's really well done. And after some interrogating, the one who rats out Superfly is ironically the guy that looks like a rat, which leads to the turtles going to where Superfly is gonna be. But before they go there, they have a little detour because Splinter called for help. But it wasn't really help, it was mostly Splinter trying to throw his sons a party. Yeah, Splinter's been catching on that the turtles want to live on the surface, so as a compromise, he decides to bring the surface to the turtles. He even gets cardboard cutouts of guys named Chris. But since the turtles are still preoccupied with finding Superfly, they end up bailing on Splinter. When the turtles reach the meeting spot for Superfly, they learn something interesting. Superfly isn't exactly a human. So yeah, him and his entire gang are all consisting of mutants. And when the turtles and Superfly meet each other, they all get excited learning that they're not the only mutants in New York City. And with that, Superfly decides to introduce his crew to the turtles. There's Bebop and Rocksteady, Wingnut, Ray Fillet, Leatherhead, Genghis Frog, Scumbug, and Mondo Gecko. After we get the introductions, they all decide to go to a bowling alley to have some fun. And it's here where we learn Superfly's master plan.
I decided to kill all the humans and let the mutants rule the earth.
We also learn that he's been collecting materials to build a device to mutate every living creature on Earth just to fulfill his master plan. And the turtles only go along with this because he's threatened to kill them if they say no to the whole plan. So out of fear, the turtles tag along with them back to their base. The turtles end up flinging the mutants out of the front of the van so they can steal the device and hopefully save New York City. And during the car chase, we have the song What's Up playing, and it makes it funny because the version they play is from the Fabulous Secret Powers video on YouTube. Despite their best efforts, Superfly catches up to them and has them drive off a cliff, which leads to the turtles getting captured by TCRI. While at TCRI, we learn from Cincinnati Utram, who is the leader of this organization, she wants more mutagen to create super soldiers. And in order to get it, she has to milk the turtles for their essence to create it. But thankfully, April is able to get in contact with Splinter to tell him what's going on, which leads to a pretty fun fight sequence where Splinter does his best to break the turtles out of their custody. Thankfully, the rescue goes pretty well, and they are able to tell Splinter what's been going on in the city. And so, with this information, they go to Staten Island to hopefully at least convince the other mutants to not commit genocide. And thankfully, they are able to convince the other mutants to not go through with the plan. Except for Superfly, who still wants revenge on humanity. Which leads to all of them trying to fight Superfly together in a last-ditch effort to stop him. They do succeed by having his machine get crushed on him into the ocean, but someone points out that him getting thrown into the ocean with a bunch of mutagen might not be a good thing. Which turns out to be the case when he ends up mutating with a bunch of fish, but thankfully he's really slow on land. Until he ends up going into a zoo and mutating with a bunch of other animals, turning into this thing.
I ain't just super fly, I'm super duper fly.
Everybody is ready to give up until Splinter gives a really nice speech as to why they shouldn't quit. He also wants to film them looking like heroes, just so the humans can look at them as such so they won't be afraid of them anymore. And with that, they head back to the mainland to hopefully defeat Superfly once and for all. And they even have a little bit of retro mutagen that April acquired earlier. They do end up firing it at him, but it only removes one of the horses off his legs. So when that plan fails, the turtles decide to regroup and think of a new strategy. They get the idea to throw some retro mutagen inside Superfly's blowhole since he's now part whale, and hopefully be able to unmutate him and all the other animals he was forcefully mutated with. And while this is happening, April goes into a TV station to tell New York that the turtles aren't evil, but they're actually trying to help. Which actually ends up working because during the climax, the humans start helping the other mutants defeat Superfly. And thankfully, with their help, they are able to get the retro mutagen inside Superfly and turn him back into a normal pile of animals. And with that, the humans now see the turtles as heroes and everyone's happy. Even Splinter gets a girlfriend by the end. And with the turtles' newfound of acceptance, they all start going to school as regular kids. And they love high school. They even stick around long enough to go to prom. And with that, the movie ends with TCRI hiring the Shredder to come back for another movie, which may come out in a year or two. And that concludes my video on what's more or less the most recent Ninja Turtle movie. And frankly, I had a good time with it. Like, it was just a fun movie. Like, it wasn't... Okay, there was some storyline where you have to pay attention, but aside from that, it was a good time. I mean, yeah, like, the one problem I have with it is pretty much the leader of TCRI, like, her master plan. Like, there are too many holes in it when you stop and think about it. For one, she wants Baxter Stockman alive just so she can have more mutagen. But it shows early on she has retro mutagen. And in almost every piece of Ninja Turtle media, you would either have to know how to make mutagen or have access to a huge supply of it. Why she can't reverse engineer it to make her own doesn't make sense. Also, during the climax when Superfly is just vomiting mutagen all over the place, couldn't she have had an excavation team, like, grab it? But yeah, aside from that one thing about the film that made no sense to me, I had a really good time with this. And they already announced a sequel to the film and a tie-in cartoon which should come out this summer, which I'm excited for both. So, aside from the next Mutant Mayhem movie, you may be wondering, what kind of Ninja Turtle movie would you want to see in the future? Let me know in the comments. Okay, I know I said this would be my last video, but one guy in the first Ninja Turtle video did make a comment about one movie he figured I'd miss, and just for that one comment, let's look at Ninja Turtles Half Shell Heroes next time. I mean, this video is technically the final one, so this one will be a little bonus. I hope you look forward to it. Cowabunga.